Football Daily family, welcome to a very special Fan Hour 12th Man crossover special. We're live for the next hour. We've got Patrick Van Straten in the building, fresh off the England plane as well. We've got Craig, Mitch here. But these aren't the only boys on screen. We've also got the wonderful, the gorgeous Social Corner opposite us. Lads, what's going on?
Good. Compliments for days. Yes, me and Adam Temple will be asking your guys questions to the guys. But before that, make sure you've joined the 12th Man League. The link is in the description below and the pin is there as well. If you do really well, you can win some crazy prizes. Now, Adam Templeman, the first question, what is it?
The first question is from Iniesta Forever. Great name. Is this Manchester United's worst transfer window ever? Ooh. What are we saying?
I guess I'm a Man United fan. I'll kick it off, innit? I don't think it's our worst ever, but it's up there. Yeah. Pat called one better one, which was Moyes' first window, which was an absolute disaster. Who did we bring in that window?
You brought in Marouane Fellaini, but you got him in a couple of weeks late. So you paid 28 million instead of 22 million for him. You brought in Saidi Yanko, who was a Swiss, I want to say, defender, never played for the club. And Guillermo Varela, who came in from Peñarol. He was a right back, I think.
Uruguayan boy, I think, yeah.
And he went out on loan a bunch of times. Have you sold him? You probably still own him.
I don't know. He was on loan at, I think, Sociedad or Sunderland. I don't even know where he is
like,
now.
He was one of those guys like Alexander Butner that you signed and was a total bust.
So I'll go for that as our worst window, but this is genuinely been up there. We've got a good squad going forward, but our defensive options are substandard for a top 6 team. I think that's a kind way of putting it. I think that the trouble with us is that our transfer approach has been super scattergun. Like, we don't know who we're going. 1 minute it's Godin, then we're going Boateng, then we're going Alderweireld, suddenly we're on Maguire, then we're back to another player. It's all madness. And then we haven't actually identified the actual player we need. It's almost, for me, been as bad as Tottenham Hotspurs. Now, you're a Tottenham Hotspur fan, Craig. What are you saying about the window?
In terms of Tottenham Hotspur,
Tottenham to start with.
Shambles. Absolute shambles. If I take off my pundit hat and just put on the pure fan hat, it's a shambles. Like, you know, Poch called out Levy at the beginning, or should I say the end of last season, and basically said, match my ambition, called him out in the public, in front of the media, and Levy said, I'll back him. And all they've done is given Lamela a contract, Sissoko a contract, I think. Giving people a contract that they don't need contracts. Okay, Harry Kane got one.
Yeah.
You know, allegedly it was double the money, that's good. But then, you know, where's Dele, where's Ericsson? On top of that, this 11 is clearly showing they're not strong enough to win something. So they need to fill in certain pockets. It's a good 11, but I still feel like they always come up short and they need something or someone to get over that line. And I watched Poch's press conference today and he was lying through his teeth. Yeah, yeah, Poch, I called you a liar. You lied through your teeth to everyone. He said he's happy with this squad, even though he called out Levy like I said before. And he said that the team's improved, the players we have, but half of them only just got back on Monday from, you know, their World Cup break. So I don't know how they've improved in LA and, I don't know, the Maldives.
I agree. You've also had proper injuries as well, haven't you? Like, I feel like some of your players are coming back, not necessarily unfit, but like, I remember when Harry Kane got that injury against, was it Bournemouth, I think, where he twisted his ankle? Yeah. It was quite a nasty one. He's played pretty much through that, then he's played through the World Cup, and he comes straight back in, then because you've got no real striker depth. Maybe Llorente.
Where's the time to improve, Joe?
I know.
Where is it? Where's he got this from?
I don't understand that quite.
Who is he talking about? Cameron Carter-Vickers?
Yeah.
In Kudu?
Yeah.
Really? Really? French players really, Poch?
I know, man.
I'm buying it, mate. I got a receipt.
Especially like as, I don't know if you saw yesterday, but Danny Rose was being linked with like Schalke on loan. Yeah. I don't know whether that deal went through.
Has that actually gone through?
But no, but Danny does want to get away. You saw how he was speaking about you know, his club during the World Cup. He definitely wants to get out of there. But I mean, even the fact that we haven't moved on players because we want to replace them, like the likes of Alderweireld, Dembele, this summer just became a player they wanted to get rid of. Now you keep them in, and they're senior players, two of the oldest players in the squad alongside Lloris. They could disrupt the squad. Yeah. You know what I mean? You don't want to keep, as they like to call it, bad eggs. I know they're professionals, and they will be professional, but it's like, they don't want to be there. Do you keep people that don't want to be there? I'm not a fan of that. I like to let people go.
Yeah, Spurs seem like they're always an injury or two away from a real crisis because they're so reliant on that first 11. But the annoying thing about Spurs, I think, like, is that this is such a missed opportunity. Like, when you look at that squad, exactly. you think if they'd just gone out and spent big money on an elite central midfielder, that honestly could be the difference for them. Certainly in the cup competitions, where I feel they're really well suited to having a deep run. You know, last season in the Champions League, they showed they could beat anyone. Like they absolutely battered Real Madrid, who went on to win it. And I think that...
What was the phrase you just used at the beginning to describe this?
Oh, it's a missed opportunity.
That is the nail on the head. Because I feel like this squad has a window. There's a window period for this team, this manager.
Couldn't agree more.
Sure. People are going to move on. Harry Kane, if he doesn't get what he wants, he's going to move on. Dele, Ericsson, the manager even. Yeah. How long can this... I mean, Poch, this is like his 4th season, I think. 3.5 seasons he's been here.
Yeah, around that.
That's a long time if you look at it in terms of managers don't get 4 years. Unai Emery signed a 2-year deal. Managers don't really get long-term contracts anymore. He's been here 4 years now, signed a new deal. And for me, I feel like you said, opportunities being missed here, and they could drop out of the top 4.
Yeah, I agree. It's the same as Man United. Like, I feel like not necessarily as much of an opportunity as Tottenham, but the bones of an unreal squad are at United. Martial, Lukaku, Alexis Sanchez, Paul Pogba, Nemanja Matic, got the best goalkeeper in the world in De Gea. And we're probably like 2 players away from like a serious, significant assault on like multiple fronts.
I disagree. I think you've got a really good squad. I mean, obviously, you know, the likes of Alderweireld, who in my opinion is one of the best centre-halves in the league, would definitely have strengthened your squad. It's not going to make it any weaker. But when I look at your squad, and I think a lot of Man United fans would agree, it's more to just do with the football, just the style of play, because the players are there. Like Sanchez has come in and he looks out of place when you. And hopefully this season he'll crack on and become the player we saw at Arsenal. But I just don't think he suits the style of football. Mourinho's quite a negative manager, on and off the pitch.
That's kind. Very negative.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm a fan of Mourinho still. I'm probably one of the only ones left on planet Earth. But I do think the football is the problem, not necessarily the players at hand. I think you've got, you know, players in every position. All right, centre half may be lacking a bit, and that's why you needed one. But other than that, you didn't consider. How many goals did you? I swear, out of the probably
we had one of the best,
the least.
Yeah, man, we had one of the best
Top
defensive
2
records. But then that was honestly from watching United week in week out. If we didn't have De Gea in sticks, we would have been way down the list. We do still have him, but we're asking the man to produce miracles. It's every single season now. He wins our Player of the Year every year because he every single time has to be the best in the world. If he has one poor season, we are so screwed.
It's the equivalent of saying, oh, well, we finished second last season because our striker scored like 10 goals from outside the box, just everything he hit went in. You're like, okay, that's great, and you know, like, credit to that player for doing that. But if your game plan is that they continue to do that, you are asking for trouble.
It's a risk.
Like at some point, if De Gea either gets injured, or this is or last season was clearly the outstanding season in what has been an outstanding career so far. You can't assume that every year a player is going to have the best year of their career. You're going to end up in trouble. And like with United, I don't know. With United, I agree with you in the sense that there's definitely a managerial change that needs to be made as well as squad changes. Whereas with Spurs,
agree. I never said that.
Well, I don't know. Like
I never said that. I said football needs to change. I never said the manager needs to change.
Yeah, managerial change doesn't necessarily mean a change of manager. As in he needs to adjust something. Though I think that this might be all he can give.
He's got to go.
I think he's trying to get out.
He's got to go.
He's trying to get out, is he not?
He's got to go.
Do you think he's trying to get out? Is that first season syndrome kicking in?
He is getting,
he seems not
and he has done for like the last month, got every excuse possible lined up in position. He's got his injuries ready to go. I said in June we had injury problems. He's got his transfers ready. He said, well, I wanted this many targets, they didn't pull off. Whenever it hits the fan, which it's going to some stage this season, Jose will go, look back in June, I said I wanted these targets. I said we had injury problems. I said this, I said that. We had a bad pre-season. He's going to pin it all on the club.
That sounds like a smart man, though.
That is a smart man.
Because a lot of managers don't pin it on the club, and then it all falls on there. No offense, but look how Man United did Moyes. Look how they did Moyes. They left him out too dry. They gave him, what was it, like a 5-6 year contract?
Yeah, 6.
And then when things didn't go right in, what was it, like a season?
Yeah, it was one.
They got rid of him. So it's like managers have to look out for their own back at the end of the day. Mourinho's been in this job for ages, and he knows how this goes. Even with footballers, the clubs don't look out really for the footballers, or the clubs look out for themselves.
Yeah.
The people that sit in the office, they're not public figures, the CEOs and the boardroom guys.
But as a fan, I don't enjoy the negativity, the excuses. Having to sit and watch, like you, at least as a Spurs fan, you watch your team play exciting football, and under a manager that's clearly improving and has made like your football fun. I watch Jose and he looks bored. The football's dull. The players don't want to play it. He's constantly falling out of our best players. He seems to have some weird agenda against Pogba. that every time a problem happens, he goes, well, Pogba's in this, Pogba's in that. How can you drop Paul Pogba for the 2 games against Sevilla?
Yeah.
The 2 biggest games of the season, drops in for McTominay.
And Spurs' excuses are real, like in a sense, like there is money to be spent, but on the other hand, you could say, look, we're buying a new stadium. We're also aware of the fact that we are going to have to start paying higher wages to our stars if we want to keep them. Whereas Man United are the best funded team in the world. Yeah. And is he really saying that he couldn't go out and find any left back who would be better than having Young and Shaw there, given that he hasn't really fancied Shaw up until now?
Well,
is he really saying Darmian is going to start?
Danny Rose. I thought they were.
I know, that would have made perfect sense, right?
Maybe, I don't know, maybe they saw something they didn't.
Why didn't they do that?
But I don't know. Maybe
he does have knee injuries, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he carries a few injuries here and there, but I don't know. I thought that was I thought Danny Rose and Alderweireld before the summer was a certainty for Man United.
So did I.
The fact that this is closed and there's still Spurs players, to me, is mind-boggling. But like I said, I just feel like there's so many good players at Manchester United. Yeah. Pogba, incredible World Cup. Obviously, Alexis Sanchez speaks for himself. Lukaku had a good World Cup. Yeah. You know, you got Marcus Rashford. They've managed to keep Martial prisoner. Somehow. You got Jay Lings in there. You got Matic, great defensive midfielder. There's so many good players. De Gea.
Brought in Fred.
For me, it's the football. If they could just get that a bit more of an attacking football, take the handbrake off a bit.
It's not going to happen.
Go forward. Well, they need to, because those are the kind of players Man United have. Do you know what I mean? It's weird.
It's not going to happen though. Jose just doesn't take the handbrake off because I think he's just too set in his ways now. He's actually got to the point where he's so stubborn that he won't change his own ways for the risk of people going, well, you had to change your ways, Jose, for it to be successful.
But in the same breath, I don't knock him when he goes to Anfield and does it and doesn't take the handbrake off, because it's like you've seen what people like Liverpool have done to other teams. They've ripped them to shreds.
But then don't do that against Burnley at home.
But also, you can't win the title doing this anymore. Like, you can't. There are now too many big teams for you to go and just accept draws against all of them, especially when he does it at home. Like, that's kind of the problem. I agree that when you go to Anfield, you've got to be careful not to get the doors blown off. But on the other hand, you do have to win some of these games now if you want to win the league. And maybe the mindset that he had back in 2004-05, which worked brilliantly, 5-6 worked brilliantly, is maybe not quite a good fit for the setup of the Premier League.
What I will say is that he had one of the best records against the top 6 last season. His record was really good last season for United against the top 6. The problem is that he plays the same football against Tottenham away, where we sit back and we look to counter, as he does at home against Wolves.
It's mental. Well, this is the thing though. Like, you say you can't win the league playing that kind of football, but how many points did they finish on, Manchester United?
I think we were 19 behind City.
But how many points did you finish on?
What did they get, 100, so 81?
81, that's not too... in a normal season where Man City doesn't do the unthinkable, because no one's hit 100 points before, let's face facts. And that probably won't happen again this season, if I'm totally honest. 80 to 90, that's around about the mark you want to hit if you want to win the league. I swear Leicester only won it, what was it, like 83 points or something?
Yeah, it was low. I reckon we're still 6 or 7, and even then, like you said previously, it's the way we've got to 81. We have dragged a carcass up to 81 points.
And I'd say you were lucky to get to 81 in the sense that, like, De Gea, like, yes, Man City are likely to come back a bit, but I think De Gea is likely to come back a little bit as well. Ashley Young, Antonio Valencia, Nemanja Matic, these guys are all a year older. And those guys need to cover a lot of ground, like fullbacks and defensive midfield. You need energy.
Like, don't get me wrong, Ashley Young had a really good season last year. Are we really asking the guy to play 60 games again? Like, it's such a risk at that age.
32 years old, World Cup.
I don't know if the age. I get what you're saying. Logically, that makes sense. Ashley Young's a machine, man. Spent time with him.
What's he saying?
He's just a machine. He runs around a lot. He trains. He puts in extra hours. He's really on the tread bike. Like, his fitness to me doesn't seem a problem. It's just, do you think he has the quality to do that role and take you to the next level and win the title? That's the only question I'd say.
The one problem I have with Ashley Young is I actually think he had a really good season last year, but he's really predictable after a number of games in the Premier League, where you know he's going to come back on that right foot and then look to deliver to the back post, probably to Lukaku, or in the 80th to the 90th minute to Fellaini. Like, it's really obvious what is going to happen there. So I don't know, man. I'm not a big fan of United's transfer window, but.
Am I putting myself on the line here by saying, you know, I've kind of been saying it behind closed doors for a while to my Man United friends, but are you guys spoiled? Are you just, let's be real, are Man United fans just spoiled?
I mean, probably a little bit.
We're definitely spoiled. We're definitely
how many titles have you not won in your lifetime?
Yeah, man, for sure. We are 100% spoiled.
Because your manager's first season, he wins, 3 trophies, if you want to include the Community Shield, gets you into the Champions League through the back door. Then the second season, all right, no trophies for a season, but then you get second and the FA Cup final. Like, for me, Mourinho hasn't really done much wrong. Like, I mean, like you said, he had a decent record against the top 6. The football is just bad.
That's trouble,
all it
though.
is.
That is the problem. And the problem is because we have been spoiled playing under one of, not the most exciting all the time, but certainly it's the smaller teams. United would just smack teams about. Like, they would just turn up and bully teams off the pitch. And you knew it was going to happen before we even walked out the tunnel.
Yeah.
Now, teams turn up and there's a totally different atmosphere about it.
No, I get that. But then the other reason I say that as well is because, like, since Klopp's come, he hasn't won anything.
Exciting football, though, bro.
But yeah, no, definitely exciting
And
football.
progress, what looks like
Progress, and the signings they made incredible. We'll probably get to that. But when you look at Liverpool, they'd say they had a great season last season. They got to the Champions League final, but they finished 4th. Do you know what I mean? After all of that, they had the Golden Boot winner. They didn't lose at Anfield the whole season, and they finished 2 places below Manchester United.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like we need to get some perspective.
Yeah, no,
in
you might be right.
in Manchester United, in a sense.
You might be right, but
it's
also-
not doom and gloom. I'm speaking to my United fans, and they're acting like it's the end of the world, like you're in a
You are right.
relegation battle or something.
You're right. And we've just signed a £55 million central midfielder in Fred, haven't we?
player.
So looking forward to seeing what he's like. But what do you guys at home think about Man United's summer business? Is this the worst window they have ever had? I personally think it's up there. What do you guys at home think? Let's go back to social corner and get another question through the door.
Yes, this one comes from Amshu Bakary, and they have asked, what do you guys think about Chelsea's midfield for this season, and is it the best in the Premier League?
Ooh, that is a spicy take. Van Straten, you actually think it is? Earlier you were saying you think it's up there.
their starting 3 is as good as any, but it's the best in the
Go on,
Premier League,
break it
comfortably.
down.
Like Jorginho is an amazing defensive midfielder and game controller, and he's going to be fantastic in that role. Obviously, has worked wonders with Sarri before. I think Kovačić is an outstanding central midfielder waiting to turn into a superstar. We just haven't seen enough minutes of him, though a little bit of a problem in the sense that you're essentially developing a guy for another big club. If you can't get him on a permanent, you don't really want to be.
There's no option
and
to buy.
you don't really want to be loaning guys when you're a club of Chelsea stature, because what you're doing is just developing people for other people. And then N'Golo Kante, who is, in my opinion, the best defensive and transition player in the world, comfortably. So I think that when I look around Europe, not just the Premier League, but when I look around Europe, I find it really hard to see a midfield 3 that is better. Real Madrid's is obviously fantastic as well, but Liverpool's is very, very good, except when you're looking at the attacking position. I think Fabinho, I don't think is as good as Jorginho. I like Fabinho a lot, but I think he's a good defensive midfielder as opposed to a world-class one. Naby Keita is amazing. Like, I'm the biggest Naby Keita. He's more attacking, I guess, than Kante. Yeah. So in a way, he can cover for some of the deficiencies of the guy playing in front of him.
Keita, though, innit?
Yeah, I mean, Naby Keita is. I genuinely cannot wait to see him in the Premier League, but it depends who's going to play in that next role up. I think it might be Lallana a bit this season. I love Lallana. I don't like Jorginho Wijnaldum. If it were the Ox, a developing Ox under Jurgen Klopp, that would be really exciting. So
Such a shame for Ox, man.
it kind of depends.
Yeah.
Such a shame for
Yeah.
Ox. Is it a whole year, a whole season he's out for now? That significant injury.
This is the thing. This is why when he left Arsenal, like we were sad. Well, I was sad because I actually thought he was a good player, and I thought that a lot of our fans were saying that he was terrible to make themselves feel better about losing him to a rival. But
Yeah, I mean, a lot would do that.
yeah, well, they always do that a little bit, right? But on the other hand, there is this problem with him, which is that his injury record is horrible. Like, it's always been bad, and whenever he was coming into a bit of form, he would always get a bad injury, and it happened again. He took a big step forward, and he gets the worst injury of his career so far. So, I mean, I think that whoever plays in that forward role, in a way, they have less to do at Liverpool than they will at Chelsea. But when you look at that midfield 3, having gone from last season, where at times it felt like Kante being superhuman and a bunch of other guys kind of plodding around figuring out what they were trying to do, as an upgrade to go from that to Jorginho, Kante and Kovačić, that is staggering. That's really amazing. And you imagine it, when you think about Kovačić as well, Kovačić, I've wanted to see him play regularly for such a long time, and not only is he going to do it, but he's going to do it under Maurizio Sarri. That's truly exciting.
What about some of the youngsters, the fringe players that can kind of make an impact this season, the likes of Callum Hudson-Odoi?
I think he's
Ruben
going to get minutes,
Loftus-Cheek.
man.
Do you think they're going to get more minutes?
I think Hudson
Yeah, I think
Odoi is going to get
Loftus-Cheek will.
Hudson-Odoi is going to get minutes on the provisor that Willian doesn't crush it under Sarri. I actually think Willian could be an absolute star under Sarri on that right-hand side, allowing Eden Hazard to drift. And also, My personal opinion is that Morata is going to struggle under Maurizio Sarri, and about 2 months in, you're going to see Eden Hazard used as a false 9 in the Dries Mertens role, and then potentially Callum Hudson-Odoi or Pedro come in as another winger alongside Willian, and then a front three of like Hudson-Odoi, Hazard, and Willian.
I think Morata's going to have a great season. I
Do
really
you? Are you gonna? Is that your hot take?
I think Morata's an amazing player actually. Like I think he had a good last season. I don't know why the narrative has become that it's terrible. He scored 4 goals.
In a bad back half.
He scored. He did, but that's kind of like if his goals were spread a little bit more evenly through the season. It's kind of like the Barcelona thing, right? At the end of the season, all their fans were livid because they lost in the second to last game. But if they'd lost the first game of the year and then had gone 37 unbeaten, the narrative would be totally different. Like so, I think that with Morata, you know, when you have
How did he get in the end?
When you have, he got 10 in the league and 4 assists in about just under 2,000 minutes.
But is that good enough for Chelsea? That's the question.
He was injured a lot of the time, and I think he'll play a lot more minutes this season.
Because they're quite spoilt as well.
Yeah, they are, definitely. But when you think that he scored 4 goals fewer than Lukaku, that's not really a big difference. But people were saying Lukaku had a really good season and Morata didn't. I don't really agree with that. And I think that under an attacking coach, which he finally has in Sarri, I think Hazard's going to be let off the leash and it's going to be really exciting. And yeah, I don't know. I think Morata's a really good player.
Do you know what is with Morata as well? It's not just stats because it's almost like body language and attitude. Because I know Morata sometimes you look at him on the pitch and his head's kind of down. He doesn't look full of confidence. Yeah. I don't know what was going on there. Maybe him and Conte, you know, we don't see behind the scenes things. But his body language last season suggested to me that he wasn't really happy at Chelsea.
Yeah, I think.
Which kind of, I think, put a lot of fans off. You want to see, even if things, you know, aren't going your way or you're not getting as many goals as maybe you think you should, you want to just see someone constantly putting in that effort.
Yeah.
Like they're really onto it.
Yeah,
at times I felt like Morata was just a bit like, do I really have to do this? It's kind of like, he seems like a real confidence player for me.
I do know what you mean. I think that Chelsea are going to have an okay season, though. I actually can't wait to see the football Maurizio Sarri gets that midfield free play. And the one thing I will say is that if I was maybe a Ruben Loftus-Cheek or even a Ross Barkley, Danny Drinkwater, I would be wanting to get the hell out of Dodge right now. I would be wanting to get out of Chelsea. Yeah. I think Bakayoko...
Well, the door's shut, so I mean...
But it's only shut for English teams. If I was Bakayoko, I would be going, I want that move to Milan. I want to get out to Valencia. Get me out of this club, because I'm not going to play anywhere near enough minutes for what is Bakayoko, 23?
Yeah,
23 years
Wasn't
old.
impressed with him last season.
So if he sits on the bench, his career really takes a nosedive over the next 12 months. It's the same as Loftus-Cheek. If I was Loftus-Cheek, I would have no qualms about going and playing abroad on loan for a season. If you could get that move, I think it's a good learning
especially
experience.
Because Sarri actually doesn't have a great track record of using his fringe players. Like if you look at the guys last season, who are really talented youngsters in midfield. Diawara barely played, Marco Rogue barely played, Piotr Zielinski barely played, Adam Unar barely played, and these are the kind of guys who actually would be decent quality top 5 league players if they were at another side. At Napoli, they barely got on the field.
This man definitely watches Serie A football.
Yeah, it's mad.
This man definitely watches Serie A.
Ridiculous.
Well, you worry a little bit, yeah. So I hope Loftus-Cheek gets some minutes this season.
Half those people, I was like, huh? The places in Italy.
Obviously, you spent loads of time with Ruben in the summer. What do you think he's going to be thinking? His
from what I know from speaking to him, his sights are firmly set on trying to break into this Chelsea team. You know, obviously, last season his ambition was just purely to get more minutes. He had no idea he was going to a World Cup. He was just trying to play more Premier League football. Did that at Crystal Palace. Ended up impressing, you know, people that were watching him. Definitely one of the standout players, I think, when he did play. Obviously had an injury during the season. But yeah, when I spoke to him, he was so much looking forward to getting into that Chelsea side that he cut his holiday short in LA and went back. Yeah, he went back early on pre-season and then just got down to business, and he's been there ever since. Will he get in the side? Like you said, it's difficult. You know, they've got such a good midfield. But for me, I mean, he should be going ahead of the likes of like Bakayoko, Drinkwater, these players, definitely. Sure. Very good ball carrier, very good on the ball, and he takes risks, Ruben. He's not someone that shies away from it. He wants the ball, he wants to play football. I'd love to see him in there. Will he get in there? I don't know. But this is what I want to say as well.
Go on.
Chelsea fans, if you're expecting Chelsea to kind of be the Chelsea they did under Conte in the first season, I can't see it. Because you've got to remember that season when they won the league in Conte's first season, they didn't have Europe at all. And that's a massive factor. We saw what happened when Conte had Europe last season, Champions League. And I know he said all this stuff about not getting along with them because they didn't get the players he wanted or whatever. But we can't act like European football isn't a factor. And this year you've got Europa. that is the Europe you don't want. It's not even Champions League. If you're playing in the Europa, that is just like hell playing on a Thursday than playing on a Sunday. Sarri's got to be able to juggle those two. Obviously, Unai Emery knows how to do that. He's done it with Sevilla so many times. Can Sarri do it?
Maybe
really good shout.
maybe there's an advantage there though, because in the Champions League you have to play good players as well as you do in the Premier League. Whereas in the Europa League you can kind of say if we're not really trying to win it, then we can play Tammy Abraham and we can play
so for the
Loftus-Cheek and get all those guys minutes. So maybe it actually, I think in some ways it helps keep people a little bit happy. Like last season, Arsenal had some really good portions of the season before Christmas because all those guys were playing once a week instead of twice a week. So maybe it'll help a little bit in that regard where he won't be, like relegating those guys to pretty much water carriers. He'll actually let them get on the field a little bit. But the advantage with Chelsea now with Sarri is that if you have a manager who plays boring football and he doesn't get results, there's no reason for people to like him. Whereas with Sarri, if he's not getting results but they're playing really attractive football, I think the fans will be so overwhelmingly delighted to be seeing something other than just pure defensive kind of grindy rubbish, that they'll maybe give him a little bit more goodwill. Because this is the problem with Mourinho, right? When the results aren't there, the football's not there either, and so you don't have anything to hold on to.
I hear you.
So there we go. Chelsea fans, let us know what you think. Let's go back to social call and then get the next question.
Well, just before our next question, make sure you're hitting the link in the description below and joining our Fantasy Football League. As we said earlier, if you do really well, you could be winning some crazy prizes, including PlayStation 4s and trips to play the playoff final in the Championship. Adam Templeman.
Sounds good, that. Yeah, should we talk about the other end of the table? So, Ocean Sun wants to know who your relegation tips are for this season.
Oh, we had this conversation today.
So we did. Backdoor. So my relegation 3, I'm going Cardiff, poor summer, average squad. Neil Warnock is a Championship specialist. He'll be back down there before Christmas. I don't think he'll stay in a job very long. Number 2, Bournemouth, poor summer, mediocre squad. Don't really like it. Don't like a lot of the business they've done. I think Eddie Howe's okay. Don't think they'll survive again. And then number 3, Huddersfield Town. Huddersfield Town, I think, were lucky to stay up last season, and I think that they'll be in big trouble this summer. They've had such a bad summer as well, Huddersfield Town. Those are my 3. I'm going to go Cardiff, Bournemouth, Huddersfield. Brighton and Newcastle hanging around there as well.
Come on, Craig, what you got?
I'm going to agree with 2 of them. Cardiff, for me, definitely. I just can't see them. I'm looking at their squad. I'm looking at it across the board. The players aren't strong enough. I think it's just, they did well. They did very well in the Championship, but this is a cut above, I think, for them. So I'm going to go with Cardiff. Huddersfield, same thing. Didn't make enough good signings for me. They started very well, but they just surprised everyone last season, and I can't see them doing that again. They're not going to rack those points on the board early on like they did last season. But this one's a bit of a hot take, and I've got a few mates that play for this team, so I feel bad. But I'm going to go Southampton, man. They just avoided the trapdoor last season, and I'm looking at them, and I'm just looking at their players. And, you obviously got the likes of Ryan Bertrand, good player. They've got players there and in abouts, but for me, still, I just don't think they're playing for the manager. Obviously, he's not...
We don't like Mark Hughes.
I've never been a fan of his football, if I'm totally honest. Is he going to even stay? I'll be surprised if he's there by the end of the season, if I'm totally honest.
100%. They've also still not signed a goal scorer.
Well, they've tried to.
Is going on?
They just can't. The thing about
goals win games,
and they've let Tadic go as well, who's always been the kind of creative hub of that side. So I really do worry about that. I agree actually. Mark Hughes is worrying, but I still look at that squad and I think, you know what? I think that Cedric Suarez, I think Bertrand, I think Lamina, these players should be good enough. Whereas I look at Bournemouth and I don't even see those good players. As much.
I believe in Eddie Howe though. I believe in him.
I just don't think he's a good coach.
Yeah, man,
really?
Last season they had the second worst defence in the league after Stoke. They were so bad, and they never really upgrade. This time they've brought in Jefferson Lerma, who obviously will give them some defensive clout in midfield. But that's my worry, really. When you look at the teams around them, the signings they've made. Look at Brighton. Brighton have done some amazing signings this summer. They've brought in Jahan Bash. They've brought in Yves Bissouma from Ligue 1, who I think is an absolutely incredible pickup at defensive midfield.
So who are your 3 then?
I think I'd probably go along with you. The only question is whether I put Watford in there. I'd love to find a home.
Great shout.
I'd
Rudy
love to
Garcia
find a
is a
home for Watford.
horrible manager.
But again, I'm kind of hoping with Watford. Well, I say hoping, I don't care about Watford.
But some of their good players as well.
I'm kind of thinking with Watford, like Southampton, maybe they have just a bit more quality, whereas Huddersfield have a slightly better manager, but they don't have the quality. Unless Terence Kongolo comes in, he's coming from Monaco for like 17, 18 mil. Unless he comes in and is like peak Baresi, I don't see how Huddersfield
Mate,
like,
Huddersfield have had a horrible summer. They had a average second half of the season, average to poor in fact. Like Craig said, they got off to a bit of a whirlwind start, and I think everybody was a bit caught up with, oh, it's their first season in the Premier League, they're doing a madness, and then suddenly reality struck, and I think they picked up barely any points back half of last season, and I think they struggle first half of this season.
Plus, I'm not a fan of teams that like share their stadiums with rugby teams. It's just, to me, it's just weird.
where they have the wrong lines on the pitch.
The wrong lines on the
They're like
pitch.
dotted lines on the pitch, like get out.
Yeah, I went just to John Smith's twice last year, and it was just like, this is weird.
The fact it's called the John Smiths as well just doesn't ring
That alone,
Premier League,
No,
innit?
that's so championship.
The John Smith Stadium, yes.
That is, oh mate.
So yeah, those are our 3 relegation candidates. Anyway, let's get another question then from Social Corner.
This one goes to you, Craig. It comes from Jay Kira, and he says, what was it like being with the England players for the World Cup, and what's in the Craig Mitch special shake?
So for the first part of the question, it was incredible. It was such a great experience. All of the lads were proper welcoming. Obviously, when you go into a complex environment with people you don't know, you never know what to expect. And obviously, filming with footballers, even if you're just doing a pre-record, guys know it's difficult, let alone getting them on to be like themselves live, knowing that they can't redo and go, no, can we cut that and do that again? Yeah. Was difficult, but no, everyone was incredible, man. I got on with everyone.
Who was your favourites?
Favourites?
Are you allowed to say?
I am allowed to say. I have to be honest. Facts are facts. Jesse Lingard, definitely that's my guy. Ruben, Raheem, and Deli. So those were the guys I got along with the most, I'd have to say. Spent a lot of time with. And the Craig Mitch secret shake. I can't tell you what's in the secret shake because it's a secret, but I'll give you an ingredient. Strawberries.
Oh, that was so obvious. That's the most obvious ingredient.
There's 5 ingredients. There's 5 ingredients. There's a little bit of a clue. There's 5 ingredients in the Craig Mitch secret shake. So you have one of them. Maybe I might give one away like every year up until the next World Cup.
That's
it is a new shake.
I have to say though, I think Jesse Lingard over the summer, you mentioned him then, really endeared himself to the nation a little bit. I kind of feel like going into that World Cup, everybody was like other teams' fans battered Jesse. They were like, he's not a good footballer. And then you saw at the World Cup, people go, hang on, he's actually a baller. He's actually such a good footballer, especially his off-the-ball movement, the way he runs for the team. And I feel like he changed so many people's perceptions of him.
No, he did. I mean, obviously, Man United fans knew this all along. He was always like a fan favourite, do you know what I mean? Like a cult hero with Man United fans. But even for me, like, I really warmed to him last season. Yeah. I don't know if it's because he milli rocked at the Emirates. That put a smile on my face, definitely. But, I mean, he just... he was always seen as that player that kind of didn't score a lot of goals, but scored in big games. He became this kind of big game player. Always did it at Wembley in a cup final. Yeah. But like you said, for England, you saw he definitely has a set of lungs on him. Ran, even when it came to extra time, and one of the players that was always running around, giving it 100%, scored a terrific goal. That goal with Raheem Sterling where he linked up and put it top bins against Panama. Definitely, I think people saw a different side of him, but I still feel like he has a lot to give, because it's he's not as young as people think he is. He's 25. Yeah. But he's I think only the last 2-3 years he's really become that thing. And the fact that managers like Mourinho, Louis van Gaal, these guys have actually shown, you know, faith in him and have been playing him, says it all about him. So definitely Jesse Lingard, I think people have definitely seen a different side of him and like him a lot more.
And what was Gareth like, Big Gazza, behind the scenes?
Listen, I don't want to, I want to say this without sounding like just predictable, but he's genuinely the nicest man I think I've ever met. Really? Ever. Like, ever. Because it's like, for instance, a lot of people don't know this, but without him, that show, The Lions, that wouldn't have happened. He had to sign it off because obviously they're his players and he has to let them go to do these sorts of things. And he was fully on board. He was the man that said, we need to make sure that people see the players' personalities. Yeah. People need to see that. It's a big part of the public buying into this team. It's not just about results on the pitch, because obviously that is like the forefront of everything. Yeah. But they need to be able to kind of identify with these people and see the human side of these players. So, and for me, Gareth is someone that you look at him and you think, because there was a hashtag. What was that hashtag again? Gareth Southgate, was it could or would or something?
Yeah, Gareth Southgate could I
Could
think
or
it
something
was,
like that. And it was saying all these nice things like about him, but
He became a cult hero over the
did.
summer, man.
But this is the thing.
Waistcoat Wednesdays.
Exactly.
Still rocking it.
Waistcoat sales went up tenfold. But when it came time to get down to business, you'd see this side of him on the pitch in meetings where he just lock in and
Really?
people, he would just get the respect. Because usually when you're really nice, people go, do people even listen to nice guys?
Yeah.
So it's about getting that balance, and I think he had the perfect balance.
So were you in the meetings and stuff? You could hear what they're saying.
Yeah, in meetings, everything. Yeah.
That's so good.
Privy to
Good
some
access,
very
man.
top, top secret information that will never meet the light of day, even under bribes. No, I'm joking. But we was in meetings. It was a great experience, and I was just happy to be a part of it.
Wicked, man. Right, let's get the next question then from Social Corner.
Yes, the next question is from Jimbo. Obviously, it hasn't been a very exciting deadline day. So, what is your favourite deadline day moment ever?
Oh my gosh.
Can I start?
Go on.
I feel like I know.
You know what it's going to be. It has to be Harry Redknapp coming off in the Range Rover every single deadline day, sticking his head out and talking about the bargain he got. Like, he would always... It became a thing.
It did.
It literally became
a joke.
And they've done it now. I think they did it to Roy Hodgson, didn't they?
They did today. They gave him a cake.
Yeah, they gave him it like and I saw he was in a Range Rover as well.
my God.
So it's like Roy Hodgson was actually like rehearsing for this to kind of happen. Like, he's become the new old guy that kind of looks like he's melting. that pulls up.
Rocks up.
Yeah,
And he's a cake.
He's
Say a
taken
line
over the reins from Harry and is doing that. But that's definitely one of my favourite moments.
What about you, Pat?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, like, Arsenal signing Kim Källström, who had like a broken vertebra
had
on
no
deadline
back.
day. It was the most Arsenal move ever. You know, like, so as a move that would encapsulate like 5 years of Arsenal, that's pretty good. But well, I think it's got to be Peter Odemwingie.
Oh my God, in the car park.
Yeah, just driving.
My
Yes.
He went for like Alan Partridge and
He
just
did.
turned up and said like, "Give me a contract."
Yeah.
Like, it was so amazing because everybody knew what was going on except for Peter
Yeah,
Odemwingie.
yeah.
It's just like seeing somebody that embarrassed was just like, it was just
felt for
It was
it.
gold.
it was
As well, he
incredible.
was in the car park and Sky Sports had pictures of him in his car, just sat there like, am I going in or am I staying out?
That was genuinely magical. That was like hearing the cops sing "You'll Never Walk Alone." Like, to me, I was just like, it gave me a warm feeling inside.
Yeah, man, that was funny. For me, I'll go Dimi Berbatov rocking up to Old Trafford, breaking some Spurs hearts.
What about when 3 random guys turned up at Athletic Club?
Oh, that was
and
jokes.
said that they were sent from Man United to buy Ander Herrera.
Yeah.
And they just turned out to
Just
be
turned
like
random guys in suits,
some guys,
just jokes,
some
just
guys
like
with suits.
3 random guys.
What about the moment that literally changed transfer deadline day forever? The dildo moment.
Oh, the dildo.
That literally changed
man.
things
What a
forever. Like,
shout
we
that
couldn't
is.
bring
Iconic.
cameras outside of
Iconic.
grounds anymore because of that moment.
Do you know, right? So they actually put security with the reporters now, because before it was like you get
just be them and a
hundreds of
cameraman.
kids with like a dildo in the ear or like a banana or like people slapping them on the head. Now they've got like security men around them.
What, in each ground now?
Each ground has security man.
It's a lot of security. That's a lot of money being spent.
I know,
Gosh.
but you know, Sky Sports can do it, can't they? So fair play to them.
You know better than me.
You know
what a
better than me.
transition.
Yeah.
What a
What a transition that was. Yeah, let's go back to Social Corner quickly.
Next question then, I think 100%. This one's been asked by a lot of people, and I mean a lot. One of them being Deepak, so you got your shout out, mate. And he said, Andre Gomez going to Everton on loan and Mina joining for £28.5 million. What do you think of those signings, especially Mina because he's linked to United?
Pato, jump in. Andre Gomez.
I don't really mind Yerry Mina, though. I don't really understand what Everton think they've seen in half a season of limited minutes at Barcelona to make him worth 30 mil. But Barcelona would be delighted to turn a profit on him. And to a certain extent, I don't mind Barcelona doing this kind of thing. It's so difficult to find centre-backs who fit Barcelona's system that I think you should buy them cheap and see if they work, and if they don't, rather than going and spending, like 60 mil on one.
Done it with Longley as well.
Andre Gomes, it's good for him, I suppose. He might play a bit more. He's not a good player. He was never a good player. He was bad at Valencia, and he's been dreadful at Barcelona. And people have only ever liked him because he's like the anti-Ozil or the anti-Lamella, where like people don't like those players because they've got this kind of elegant style, and people think they aren't trying. Whereas people only like Andre Gomes because he has an elegant style, and they ignore the fact that he doesn't defend, he doesn't score, he's not a great passer, and he can't create. So he's actually perfect for Everton, like right now, because they've got loads of players who fit into that mould of doing nothing.
You know, these two moves, they're like, the fact that they've managed to get these players out on deadline day would worry me as an Everton fan. It feels like Barca are keen to get these boys out of the club ASAP.
Oh, yeah.
Like Yerry Mina seems to have been flogged around the whole of Europe. Obviously, they're trying to sell Yerry Mina because they've gone over their quota of EU players, of non-EU players. I think you can only have 3 in a La Liga squad, and they've got 4 at the moment. So they've shipped Yerry out, but Yerry was being offered to everyone. 30 million, like you said, Pat, I think is a bit of a risk, to be fair. And they're obviously, I don't know what has happened, because we've been obviously on the show. I don't know whether they managed to get the deal for Kurt Zouma over the line. They were trying to bring Kurt Zouma in on loan as well. But Andre Gomes is a stinking signing. Do not like that move at all.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I mean, not as harsh as Patrick, but I mean, I definitely think it's got echoes of panic.
Big time.
To me. Sure. Everton last season made a load of signings as well, and you was just looking at it thinking, everyone's saying, oh, they've got these billionaire owners now, they're going to definitely challenge for the top 6, top 4. Are they going to break in there? Are they going to become like Liverpool's rivals? They're supposed to be, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to me, I definitely think it's just panic buys.
Yeah.
I think that, like you said, Barcelona's just trying to offload these guys, get rid of them. Everton's like, yeah, I'll take it, hey, give me that, I'll have it. And it's happened.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at Everton's team and I'm like, where's the cohesion there?
Yeah,
like,
man.
what's really going on at this club?
Do you know what worries me?
Huge.
Huge.
I mean,
Literally what I was about
top
to
scorer
say.
was Wayne Rooney last season, and now he's in DC. Like,
They're going to be hemorrhaging money this season on wages.
They are, and I think as well, mate, talking about wages now, they've obviously got Bernard over the line. I actually read just before I came on it, Bernard is going to be on 150 grand a week at Everton. That is mental money. Their front three is probably going to be Walcott, Bernard, and then, according to a few reports, Richarlison's going to play through in the middle as a 9, and then Tosin's going to be as well.
I'm okay with that though. Richarlison profiles more like a striker than a wide player, right?
Yeah.
But then where are the minutes for Ademola Lookman, who looks like he's certainly ready to play for Everton? If he's ready to play for RB Leipzig, he's definitely ready to play for Everton. It's
what
so
about
annoying.
the other guy they got? Is it Tosin?
Yeah, Tosin. I think he's going to be a backup man. Although they signed him for 30 mil in January, didn't they?
And also Niasse, you know, like Niasse has been treated terribly by every coach. And in fairness, like I don't think Niasse is a great player. But that said, last season I think he averaged a goal like every game he played, pretty much. So they've got all these guys.
What do you think their midfield's going to be?
Why did no one come in from Idrissa? Idrissa
I don't know, man.
He's a good player.
I think if he were a
shocked.
couple of years younger, I think somebody would be.
Okay.
So does Idrissa play?
Idrissa has to play.
Andre Gomes
only has to play in that midfield.
Idrissa, Andre Gomes, and Sigurdsson. Is that the midfield three they're going to roll with?
Well, what, and Schneidl in the back?
Schneidl's back up.
Well, yeah, again,
I don't know what is going on.
McCarthy, they've got Bezic, they've got so many.
Bezic I think is left. Bezic has gone to Middlesbrough 6.5 mil.
So many defensive mids though. They're just a weirdly built squad, and they've done no. The centre. Oh god, it's all a nightmare at Everton. Like I think Everton are a club that needs serious surgery over the course of 2 or 3 windows to sort them out.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, they had an identity before Everton. Like everyone kind of feared Goodison Park. You'd go there, you kind of, especially in the Moyes era. I know it was a while ago, but you kind of knew what you was getting. Tough game. Now, when you look at Everton, like even when you go Goodison Park now, it's like no one's fearful of it no more. Everyone used to rock up there. Now, when you go there, you kind of think, I can get 3 points here.
Yeah, man. And I also, I look at that starting 11, you're thinking, Pickford in goal, probably Coleman, Mina, Zouma,
Done very well to keep Pickford, by the way.
Yeah, very well. I think they priced Chelsea out of a move bad. They went 70-odd million for him, so I don't think he was ever going to get that move, especially when he'd been there a year.
He had an incredible World Cup.
And then Idrissa Gueye, and then Sigurdsson, Andre Gomes, Richarlison, Bernard. There's so many new players being bedded in under Marco Silva.
It is a step up on last season, though. I mean, Idrissa Gueye is one of those guys who, kind of can knit your midfield together because he is such a good defensive player and pretty good in transition as well. So he's going to cover for a lot of problems in midfield. And at least they've got some mobile centre-backs in, because the worry was that the guys were going to push forward so hard in this Silva system that you were going to end up with Michael Keane and Jagielka or whoever it was having absolutely no legs at all and having to cover a huge amount of ground. So they've done good work there, but yeah, it could take a year before this team really starts to take shape.
Man, I actually
get a year anymore.
I caught a bit of the pre-season game against Valencia, and obviously that was their 5th loss on the bounce pre-season. Everton under Silva, and Silva.
Is that true? They've lost 5 on the bounce.
They'd lost 5 on the bounce. That was their 5th loss on the bounce pre-season, and Valencia was the last one. And he spent the whole game battering his back line. Silva. He was on the edge of his touchline, hammering his back line. He was hammering Morgan Schneiderlin. It's no surprise to me they brought in another midfielder, and Morgan Schneiderlin's going to drop out. I don't think Marco Silva rates him anywhere near as highly as he did when he first arrived at the club.
His career's gone.
Yeah, I know. United absolutely ruined him. Big up Louis van Gaal. Yeah, that's that. I think Everton are going to be all right this season. Mid-table.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to be in any trouble or anything, but
mid-table.
But it's not where their ambitions lie. The kind of money they're spending and where they claim they want to be. For me, it's like there's no. I don't know. I just can't see how this team's going to pull together and have any cohesion. But like you said, they're definitely stronger than last season. I think.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot stronger. It's just can they gel?
Yeah, can they gel? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Let's go back over to Social Corner and then get another question.
Well, make sure you're hitting that link in the description and joining our league in fantasy football. And show us what you guys have, because you always say in the comments that you're better than us. Show us, and if you do, you win prizes. Tense. Next question.
It's calling you out. Keep your questions coming in. I'm looking at the Twitter. Zach's looking at the chat. The next one is a tweet. It's from Juan Gonzalez, who says, now that Cristiano has left Madrid, can Gareth Bale step up to the plate and be the main man?
Ooh,
Craig, you may as well take it, bro.
I want to start by saying, and I don't think it's a discussion, I believe Gareth Bale's goal in the Champions League final is the best Champions League goal of all time. I know a lot of people are going to go with the Zidane one, but for me, that goal was, my jaw was on the floor. Now that I've got that out of the way, I find it weird that he's still there. Now, I feel like if he doesn't score that goal, he's not there. If he doesn't have the Champions League final that he had, because he was on the fringes of leaving, if I remember correctly, wasn't he?
He wanted to leave straight after the game.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't want to. A lot of people were saying, "Yep, he's on his way out." His agent's talking about moves. So it was so ridiculous that he was even being linked with Spurs at one point, coming back there, although they were never going to offer match his wages. Sorry, but for me, I'm just like, all right, Ronaldo's gone. Can he be that man? They were saying about 3-4 years ago when he first signed that he was going to be the successor to Ronaldo. I don't know if he will be. He gets so many injuries these days. He doesn't start under Zidane, and that's got really nothing to do with Ronaldo, because Ronaldo's kind of sometimes almost going through the middle. You know, it's always kind of
pretty much exclusively a 9 now, Ronaldo, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, well, is he going to be that guy? I don't know. Will he step up?
I think Lopetegui is going to use him. I think he's going to try his best to get it out of him. But to me, Gareth Bale hasn't, and will never be a 40-goal-a-season player.
Wow.
I think, don't get me wrong, I think Bale, on his day, is probably one of the best wide talents in the world and capable of changing a game like that. What I've never seen from him is, probably because he's never played that consistently at Real Madrid, and he probably had the potential, but consistent goal scoring week in, week out for 3 to 4 months, it doesn't happen.
He kind of, I mean, he kind of did it in his last season at Spurs, which got him the move.
Sure. Yeah.
He was the guy that was literally, I remember that every week, just pinging it.
And he's had a wicked pre-season. He's been so good pre-season under Lopetegui, and I'm sure he's going to start nearly every game. He's clearly being entrusted to be the star man. They haven't bought Neymar in, they haven't bought Mbappe in, haven't bought Eden Hazard in, and I think they were kind of keen. Obviously, Ronaldo leaves, you've got to replace him, you think, but they haven't, and that must be because they're putting 100% trust in Bale.
Well, they've still got time to do business. Obviously, their transfer window hasn't shut today, so they can carry on doing business. And yeah, I don't know, the whole thing about 40 goals or whatever, I think that if he's fit, I do trust him to score regularly.
Really?
I also agree in his first season his last season at Spurs and his first season at Real Madrid, he was a really reliable scorer, and he actually has all the abilities you want from a centre forward. He's capable of creating in the box. He's really strong.
Good in the air.
Phenomenal in the air. Like, he's got all those abilities, but it is just the fitness.
So would you play him through the middle then, Gareth Bale? Because he hasn't really played there before.
I probably want to play him in a 2 rather than on his own through the middle.
But then who are you playing with? Benzema?
How is Benzema still there, by the way? What is it? How that man? I genuinely think he's holding people at ransom there or something. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so he must have naked photos of Florentino Perez on his phone.
Literally, because he is still there and he still walks around like he runs the place. There's certain things in football that don't make sense to me. Like how Witsel starts for Belgium but plays in China. That will never make sense to me either as well. That's just weird.
I kind of feel like Benzema, the reason that he plays is he's the sort of player that does the hard graft that Ronaldo never will do. So he does all of Ronaldo's dirty work, allowing Ronaldo to just hover around the edge of the area, poach finishes, do what the hell he wants. Because Benzema will do all the hard yards. He'll run off the ball. He'll stretch defences.
He never used to be that guy. He used to be the guy that was trying to get goals.
He
and be
sacrificed his game for that.
And also, I think they understood that was happening when they kept Benzema and sold Higuain. Like, Higuain was a goal scorer more than Benzema was. I think, like, a pure goal scorer anyway. Like, in a way, I actually am quite a big fan of Benzema. And I think that, I don't know, I know what you're saying. Like, he doesn't really feel like he's quite, you know, like the top scorer you want him to be at Real Madrid. But on the other hand, like, he's not that dissimilar to someone like Roberto Firmino, in that he's perfectly willing to sacrifice his own game for the sake of somebody else's. And I think that's a really admirable quality in a player.
But I feel like there's players that can do that better than him. Like, I think even Giroud does that better than him. Kind of brings other people into the game.
That is spicy. No, man.
He can't do the running, though. He can't do the running.
But what did Giroud do for France? People actually kind of overlook what Giroud did when he played for France in the World Cup.
He does link.
The way he
man.
allowed the likes of Mbappe and other people to get goals and link.
He's a fantastic creator.
Yeah, because when you look at someone like Lukaku, and I know we're going on a tangent here a bit, but like Lukaku, for example, if I give Lukaku the ball and I'm a midfielder or a winger or whatever, I'm not making that run because I don't know if his first touch is going to allow him to then lay off the ball for me. I don't know. He's a great finisher, but is he going to...
I think there are more worrying areas at Madrid in who plays up there with him. Lopetegui is claimed he wants to play a free up front. So that means, Vinicius Jr., we're trusting bringing in Vinicius Jr. to start as a front three. Or we're playing Isco up there.
Asensio's still there. Asensio's there.
Yeah, Asensio. You can do Asensio.
Vinicius Jr., what are we saying, Pat?
Well, that's the thing. Like, we have no idea. And more to the point, Real Madrid don't have any idea either. Like, they signed this guy before I think he'd played about 16 minutes of professional football at that point. He just impressed at this under-17 tournament in Brazil, where a lot of the big clubs go to scout future potential talents. So yeah, that's really my issue with Vinicius. He might be a great player, but if he is, it's kind of luck on Real Madrid's part. Like, this hasn't been that cleverly done.
Not extensive.
They're taking a huge risk on him. And when you think about when Barcelona signed Neymar, he already had over 100 goals. He'd won the Copa Libertadores, and I think he was, I don't know, like, certainly considered to be one of the best talents to come out of South America since the Brazilian Ronaldo. I don't think that's the case with Vinicius. Like, you look at his scoring record this season and it's decent, but given that he's going to a much harder league, you kind of want it to be spectacular. And from my point of view, I think, well, why don't we just play Asensio there, who's actually already shown ability at the top level? Yeah. But I think they need to go out and they need to buy a top quality forward. And it's weird that they haven't done it.
They will though this time. Mbappe could still come in.
You never know.
Unlikely, but
that would be absolutely madness. Right,
they need to though, because where did they finish last season?
Third, long way off. Worst points tally in a decade.
I think they should have tried to. I think they should have done. I think they should have maybe said, look, we're not going to get somebody who's going to replace Cristiano Ronaldo directly. So we're going to get a bunch of younger talents and bank on one of them turning into a superstar. So I would have gone and said, maybe take a risk on somebody. Well, actually, no, not even a risk. I would have gone to Man United and said, we want Anthony Martial, and that would have been fine. He's definitely going to score reliably.
Got him for less than 100.
He'd definitely score reliably.
Why didn't they just slap like 200 on Harry Kane? Why didn't they do it in the end?
I don't think they would have got him. I think Levy would have gone no. Especially
200 million.
Especially once he signed his new deal.
200 million.
Yeah, man. I think when he signed that new deal, he's worth more. I think he's worth more. But anyway, interesting stuff. Right, we got 8 minutes left of this stream, so get all your questions in. Let's go back to Social Corner, get another one. It's going quick.
Go quick fire now for those final couple of minutes. This one comes from Swagsaurus, so great name. Good God. Who'll be the first manager to be sacked, and where will Zidane go next?
Oh my God, there's two questions there. First manager to be sacked, 100% Claude Puel. Claude Puel,
no,
actually,
I'll
go 70% Claude, 30% Gracia. The reason I think Claude will go is that Puel effectively got sacked in May and managed to maintain his job somehow by some freak results at the end of the season. I think he went 3 wins in 19 games at Leicester City, or 4 wins in 19 games, struggling to score goals to all hell. Got battered, I think May the 3rd, it might have been, got battered 5-0 by Palace. And the board sat him down and went, we are not scoring goals, we are not playing attractive football, we've lost 10 on the bounce, we've just got smacked 5-0 by Palace, you've got a week to save your job. That stinks. So this season, he's lost Mahrez, he hasn't lost Maguire, thankfully, but Maguire's coming back late. Obviously, he's been with the World Cup. Vardy coming back late. He hasn't got a replacement really for Mahrez. We know he's signed Gazal and he's got Maddison through the door. Fairly excited about Maddison, but not the output Mahrez is giving you. I just can't see Puel surviving past November.
But they're still more likely to get good results than a club like Watford because they still do have quality. They still have, you know, the core of a good side in Ndidi and Maguire.
They don't score goals under Puel.
Okay.
No one ever does.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem, and it's also a problem when you move from playing a particular way. You know, so before they played everything through Mahrez. Now they're going to have to go to playing everything through Maddison. That's a big transition to make. But they still have more talent than Watford, and they will still win some games. Whereas Watford, I think, are going to lose relentlessly. And I have the same issue with Cardiff as well. Cardiff are pretty cutthroat.
Yeah, Warnock.
When has Warnock last seen out a season at the top level? So I think Cardiff will they'll lose their first, they'll lose 7 of their first 10 or something, and they'll say, oh God, let's get rid of him, and they'll bring in somebody appalling.
But Puel, right, the reason that I also think he's going to go early is because Leicester can look at what happened at Southampton and see almost a carbon copy replication of struggling to score goals and think it didn't work at Southampton, it's not worked here, we got to get rid.
But even in their season where they struggled to score goals under Puel, they were nowhere near relegation. Like, they were still a solid Premier League club. And it's relegation, it's dropping into that bottom 3 that makes people angry.
I've got a hot take. Jose Mourinho.
Nice.
Jose
Yeah, it's
Mourinho.
coming, man.
I'm giving Christmas, December. I think Jose Mourinho.
The reason
He just doesn't. You don't come out in pre-season and basically slate the players you have on hand to protect one player in Alexis Sanchez. You don't just question everything that your CEOs, and who even calls them my CEOs, are doing. I can see that third season syndrome kicking in. All I'm going to say is make sure if there's a female physiotherapist around that she stays well away from him. That would be my piece of advice. And I can just see it happening. And if it's not him, then I think it's going to be Mark Hughes.
You're actually answering. Mark Hughes.
Great shout.
But Mark Hughes, they should never have hired him in the first place. Then they gave him a 3-year contract.
He will not be there by the end of the season.
I don't think so either, but their stupidity in hiring him and giving him a new contract is unbelievable. So I don't know. The thing about, I think with the Mourinho one, you've kind of answered both questions in one though, right? Mourinho's going to go, and Zidane is going to replace him. There's no way you go for anyone other than Zidane.
Zidane's coming United. Nailed on. Right, let's get the
End
next
of
one.
the season,
We've got
Zidane is
5
Man
minutes
United
left.
manager.
Let's do it.
Quicker ones, yeah. Lawrence is saying top 6 prediction in order.
Oh my God, top 6 prediction.
Shall I go first?
Yeah.
In order?
In order.
First to 6.
Hey. Okay, I'm going to go Man City again.
Yeah.
Wow. Liverpool second. I'm going to Man United third.
Ooh.
Fourth, I'm going to go Chelsea.
Wow. Oh my God, his own team's dropped out.
Fifth, Spurs. And then Arsenal's a 6th. Yeah.
Brave. Pato?
City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs, Arsenal, United.
Oh!
Wow!
I'll go City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs, United.
Woo! United 6. Wow.
I know, man.
Okay.
A horror season coming up for United. Right, let's go back to social corner then. Let's fly for a couple more.
This one goes to you, Pato. How are you feeling about Emery this season?
I think that Emery's going to have an advantage this season in that Arsenal have been pretty lazy the last few years under Wenger. Like, our fitness, even just our fitness hasn't been there relative to the other top sides. So if our fitness improves, which it looks like we will, brought in some new physios, then I think that will be a big advantage. I also think that the attack was really good last season. Even when everything else was terrible, the attack was good. And you look at the attacking talent, you can kind of see why. Aubameyang, Lacazette are going to score goals. Ozil's still the best passing creator in the league. And Mkhitaryan is also a very good, kind of backup player. So I actually think that if he can start to fix the defence even a little bit, then results will pick up kind of a lot. However, we're not realistically going to leap forward that much this year. I think that we'll make progress. I think that we'll have a shot at the top 4, but we're certainly not even favourites for the top 4. And some of our personnel at the back have been weird. I think Leno's a bad signing. I think Socrates is a bad signing. I think Lichtsteiner's okay as depth. But given that the defence was so bad last season, it's weird that we haven't really addressed personnel there, or that when we've addressed personnel, we've done it in a bad way. The most important thing, though, is that we got in Lucas Torreira in midfield, who's an absolutely sensational young defensive midfielder, and also Guendouzi, who was a bit of a punt like a really cheap
He's going to
punt.
start as well.
He looks like he looks like a perfectly useful player. In fact, he looks kind of like what Arsenal thought they were getting with Xhaka. So I think that just having protection in front of the defence will be a novelty for this Arsenal side, and even that alone will probably see us pick up. Plus the attack will just blow some sides away this season. It really will.
There we have it. Right, let's get one last question then from Social Corner to wrap it up.
Last question. K-Dot says, who is your wonder kid to watch this season?
Oh my lord. This is a tough one, man. Is
I
this
start?
from the whole of Europe? You can take it, Craig.
I'm going to go with Ryan Sessegnon.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Ryan Sessegnon. Fulham have done terrific to keep him, bat people away after the season he had last season. I know it was the Championship. This is a step up. Some people are questioning, is he built for it? You know, Premier League. Championship's quite physical, to be fair. So, you know, there isn't going to be a huge jump in that aspect. But obviously, the smaller teams in the Premier League, when they can't match you for ability, they kind of get physical. And you kind of do need to have the pounds on. But I've looked at him, and he's just sick. He's actually sick, Ryan Sessegnon. The fact that he was even going to be considered, and he was going to be considered for the England side at one stage, says it all, really, playing for... And what was he in for? Young Player of the Year?
Yeah.
In the only player that wasn't in a top flight to be considered for it. I think he's going to have a terrific season. I can't see him being at Fulham beyond this season. No matter what happens,
definitely.
whether they stay up or go down. I think this is just his season to be there, do what he needs to do, show how good he really is, and then move on. But yeah, I definitely think Ryan Sessegnon's going to have a good season.
Peeps?
I think outside the Premier League, I think Leon Bailey. Leon Bailey had an amazing season in the Bundesliga last year at 20 years old, already contributing huge numbers.
There's a few over there though, isn't there? Like Jadon Sancho as well.
Yeah, definitely. Jadon Sancho, I think, can have a really interesting year. Though playing under a more defensive coach in Favre, that makes me a little bit miserable. But yeah, Bailey doesn't look dissimilar in a way to the way Leroy Sané looked when he was at Schalke. I said this on Sunday Vibes, and I think that I don't know, his numbers last year were absolutely crazy. And when you think that he's a year older, that's pretty exciting. In the Premier League, I go for Yves Bissouma at Brighton. Last season in Ligue 1, huge defensive numbers and also massive dribble numbers. So you're looking at a guy who can both break up play and transition into attack. And I would not be surprised if in a year or two's time, people are saying Spurs should get Yves Bissouma in as Moussa Dembele's replacement.
I'll go for Issa Diop at West Ham, potentially. I think he'll probably slot in there alongside Ogbonna, and Pellegrini's definitely going to shore up that back line. You're not going to see as bad a defensive output as you saw from West Ham last season under David Moyes. So yeah, I'll go Issa Diop. That wraps us up for the 12th Man Fan Hour special. Thanks very much to Craig Mitch for joining us. Pato, Craig, where can people find you as well?
Yeah, Craig X Mitch on absolutely everything, even my PS4 and Xbox.
Mad.
Don't
so yeah,
add me. People
go and
keep
add him
doing
on PS4, isn't it? Yeah, make sure you join our Fantasy Football League as well. The link is in the description below. The pin is on screen. Thanks to Social Corner for joining us, and for you guys at home, catch you next time. Bye.